a lot of the standard stuff coming out, the Scotty's bands, etc. But the Arlong Shen is going to start us off.
Well, one other aspect to consider that makes this pretty exciting is that I would imagine that Valence would maybe try to take shots at Kivo Fred's God Pool, although that can be pretty difficult to do. He's been getting away with a lot of Nemesis, kind of been shutting down those warrior tank front lines, and I think that for Valence, probably Tolly and Agros at best, if they want to find themselves ahead, they need to just come huge with the burst from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you shut down Kivo's God Pool. It's not exactly a small world. You've got a whole bunch of options. You know, I said I was expecting a lot of the traditional bans, but we see a lot of weird stuff. I'm using Cobb. You better get used to him. He has been a real focal point of competition for the past, I'd say, like week and a half or so. And alongside him, the Terra, also not banned out here. Another character that we sort of expect to be banned. With Scotty on the board, who's picking him?
Scotty's available, but it's hard to say so far. Dignitas electing for the Soul actually is their immediate counterpick, but they still have one more option. It could possibly be a Terra selection, though, but no, instead it's going to be the Fafnir.
Interesting. Terra. So Terra's getting a change. Terra will be changed on this patch, actually. Yeah. So not going to be here. Not the same thing. No root. So it's just a slow. Got to watch out for that. So with that change, our meta sort of shifts. Cullen and Neath going to be selected alongside Geb. It's been a while since Neath has really shown up, huh?
Well, with the AMC being banned for what I would assume was a mid-lane possibility for Dignitas, I also really like the Neath pickup because this could possibly still be in the mid lane. Been a while since we've seen her there, but still, I would probably grade Neath as being way more proficient as far as mid laning is concerned than the duo lane.
I've always liked Neath. She does, so at the end of the game, she's not as much of a true carry as opposed to some of the hunters with built-in steroids, but I still think she's got some usage. So does Valence Squad, apparently. And as we head into our second round of bans, no Wheelish, no Ho Yi. Dignitas will pick up that Nemesis that you were talking about earlier. Kivo Fred, gonna bring her out one more time.
If it's not broke, don't fix it. Kivo's been going absolutely ham with this Nemesis pickup. So if it's working out so efficiently for Dignitas, there's really no reason for him to try and supplement it.
Valence Squadron with a slew of bans that if you are just joining us throughout the season, you're sitting here going, what? Amusing Cobb has been very prevalent as far as his ability to clear the wave, very strong, and his burst damage, very interesting, especially in the hands of zeros for Team Dignitas. The Ymir also has shown up a couple of times here in the SPL. Worth a ban, though?
I think that's worth a ban if you're facing off against Variety. I mean, it wasn't too long ago that he was last debuting that Ymir in the solo lane, and his walls were just flawless, pretty much. I would not want to try and deal with that when you're already facing off against the Nemesis and a Fafnir, two gods who are great when it comes to AoE control and burst potential.
All right, so we've got a Habwa, a Naja, a Geb, a Neath, and a Cucullin for Valence Squadron. Who's going where?
Okay, you've got Habwa, probably mid.
Okay.
It could be a little bit more fun than that, but I'm just going to assume that's Habwa in the mid lane, Neath ADC, and Najat jungle, purely because...
I'm already falling asleep. Come on, have some fun!
Well, I can't see it being in their way, because if it was Habwa ADC, that is completely counteracted by a Jingwei.
Could also put him in the jungle. Tier is going to be Variety selection, and that's going to be, oof. That is kind of what you want to avoid playing up against Team Dignitas. So Tier winding up in the short lane. We'll see who his direct opposition will be. Likely to be Cucullin, but we'll see if that's actually the choice here. Valence Squadron versus Team Dignitas. Starting off our fourth week of competition. It'll be Ducky, it'll be Fails, and it'll be Fun Baller. So you brought it up. The Habwa in the long lane. Why do we see Hebo come out in the hunter role?
He has a lot of damage early on, which could be very effective, but I'm not sure, because you want to look for a mage I think is going to be able to solo clear by themselves pretty well and pretty safely. Sure. And for Habwa in duo lane, he can probably get away with that. Although, like I mentioned, this will be a pretty difficult matchup for Funballer, because anytime he's looking for the standard knock-up ultimate combination, that doesn't really work too well against the Jingwei.
Right, but I think it has more to do with the other matchup. Soul in the middle lane for Zero is one of the stronger clears when it comes to mages, and Neath, one of the few characters that can really match that with Soul. If you're playing the Habwa in the middle lane, you're not going to be able to match that clear anytime soon. So I think it's less about, Funball is not going to be able to beat up Arkle, but more importantly, the mid lane's actually going to exist. So I like that call, putting Lobster on the Neath.
Funballer is starting out in that mid lane though with Lobster, so it'll be curious to see who comes out on top. Right now, Lobster actually eating a lot of poke from Zeros, but so far, pretty much 2 ADCs seeming to get the better end of this trade.
Yeah, Funball trying to find the poke and the clear. Not going to be able to get both of it, but members of Valen Squad. Oh, Funball in some trouble here. He thought the wave would last longer. Lobster going to go ahead and secure some of those body block shots, but I don't think Valen Squad can turn around and look for these Harpies at all.
That was a great route by Lobster that prevents Arkill from trying to get back into in-hand range to look for some more poke potential. They are going to be able to pick up those right mid Harpies, but with Funballer and Lobster still having a lot of lane push themselves, they'll still be able to hit level 2 as well.
So, I mean, watching these supports go at it, Trick Tank already relatively low. Well, getting knocked up. Trick Tank might be in trouble. Big Man Tings with the Geb. What kind of lane? So, I mean, these guys have to go ahead and clear up by themselves because otherwise you're wasting the lane. But, I mean, is this really what we've come to?
They can't really kill each other. If anything, Trix Tank's damage, or it's taken that much damage because he's been trying to poke Big Man Tings, eating a lot of Archer minions, and it's still going to be pretty much break even between those two.
Why are we just letting the supports farm up? I mean, why is this the meta that we've been jumped into?
Teams are really starting to value just how much you can acquire in the jungle if you're able to push out the waves as fast as possible. And dual lane has notoriously been that lane where it's kind of just AFK farm. Hunters are left alone in a competitive setting for the most part. And so with that in mind, it's been easier to just place those damage carries somewhere in the mid lane or roaming around in the jungle and soul lane areas. That way they get a little bit more aggressive and probably set up potential for early kills.
Which is why we see this this Habwa in the long lane. The idea that, you know, Habwa is going to take over the role of a hunter is just false. Cubo Fred wrapping her on the right side. And there's a sprint. Team Dignitas looking to pick up their first blood. Going to isolate the support. Nice knock-up coming out from Funball. Will it be enough? Big Man Tings taking the damage and taking it all the way to the grave. Cubo Fred starts it. Cubo Fred finishes it. First blood for Team Dignitas.
And that patience by Cubo not to use the slice and dice while they were on the carpet from the hub wall is just so important. Fails though, looking for a return kill. Actually already forcing out the purification beats from Arkill, but Cubo Fred dropping his ultimate as well just to make sure that Fails doesn't try to follow up.
Less about the ultimate from Cubo and more about the knockup. Arkill just keeps Fails at a distance. Nice play. If Fails connects with that artillery sash, he just changes targets to Arkill, pops the ultimate. That's a dead hunter. So nice reaction time from Cubo Fred to get out of range.
Even still, Arkill's definitely not safe anymore in this long lane. Dignitas is probably going to be aware of Fails' probably bloodthirst for Arkill now, knowing that he doesn't have those purification beads. I mean, what better way to pick up a kill than knowing you have a free sash into ult?
Another point that I was bringing up about the mage, Funball's not sitting there saying like, all right, my Hebo is going to be able to pretend to be a hunter the way a Kronos does, the way a Freya does, right? It's not about this long-ranged, extended damage. Funball's just there because it's basically a solo lane with nobody bothering you. You're sticking your hard carry, some character like Hebo that wants to escape the early game, get the late game. You can shove a lot of hard sort of hyper carries in that lane and not really worry about the trouble. And then Valen Squad knows they have to balance it out, so they put their traditional hunter in that mid lane.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Valence playing this a little bit slower pace, knowing that they want to buy as much time as possible for Fails and Funballer to really hit that late game stride, because the more you look at it, the worse it seems to try and deal with a Najah and a Habwa in the late game.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Valen Squad, they have the Najah here sort of as, like, protection. He's the one that's sort of allowed to... He's going to allow Team Dignitas to move or not. So Fails has to be sort of the control man. And then late game, well, there's Funball.
And of course, Ducky as well also needs to serve as that frontlining factor alongside of Big Man Tings. I would imagine it to be Ducky as more the initiation factor than Big Man. Granted, Big Man does have that blink available, so they could also be very flexible as far as trading off if Big Man wants to go in with a Cataclysm and then Ducky maybe looks for the follow-up on the Kukulkan. Really a lot of different possibilities for Valence as Fails actually just off the mark with that sash, trying to find something onto Cubo.
Yeah, I mean, Fails here has to be a little proactive. He can't be completely reactionary, but at the end of the day, his job, like I said, is really just to protect Funball, whether it's directly or indirectly by moving the attention of the focus elsewhere on the map. Right now, Funball can really dance with Trick Tank, and that's what he chooses to do. Nice shield coming out from the gap to avoid the CC, and a little bit of extra damage pushed in the way of Team Dignitas as Funball stays relevant. Going the shoot a focus here. Interesting choice. Hebo, not really a character that traditionally wants cooldown.
Not really a god that requires cooldown is the other case as well for Habwa. It's just interesting that he feels as though Shoes of Focus would be more optimal route in comparison to the Pen Boots, but this could also be that he wanted to have a little bit more spam ability of his second, because that carpet is probably going to be the only thing that keeps him alive from any Nemesis ganks.
Don't forget, you also get a ton of mana coming out with these boots, and penetration boots are nice for the early start. But if you don't plan on really fighting anybody before you go ahead and build your third item, which is likely going to be real penetration anyway, I guess you can sort of forego the little bit of penetration that comes via purple boots.
I could very much value that. Speaking of which, Neith Ultimate has come through, but Variety, no problem whatsoever, just immediately expends his ult at the same time.
Ult for ult, all the way from the middle lane. Now dancing around these gremlins, 4-on-4. Both teams really highly invested here. Big Man team's gonna get in trouble. The ultimate committed from Zeros. Now it's QO Fred in a ton of trouble. And Valence Squad, they're off to the races. Sprint is popped, but it's Big Man teams on the back end, taken down by Variety that starts the problem. Ducky fixes it, trading out 1-for-1 as Ducky takes care of Cubo Fred across the way. So it started as a 4-on-4 and it ended as a 3-on-3. Team Dignitas wind up coming up positive there. Almost 1,000 gold, Valence's senior.
At least Valence was able to trade out jungler for support. If you're going to have any member of your team die, you're typically going to want it to be the support, especially when you're clearing up the carry from the enemy team.
Funball really has dominance over this lane. It's tough to really deal with the Habwa right here at level 9. Even with that, without that penetration that we were talking about that allows, you know, Hebo to really go hard, he's still just dishing out a lot of damage, able to zone out the enemy hunter Arkle, really with not a care in the world.
And Cubo and Zeros now need to be a little bit more careful, knowing that they're not going to have their purification beads for at least a minute and a half, puts them in a really vulnerable position. 2 fails on that Najah, able to just get hit by that artillery sash and then immediately having to worry about the follow-up from the ultimate.
Yeah, I like fails on this Najah a lot. He's also one of Fail's kind of, I would say signature gods, but definitely a character that he's really well versed in, so I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of impact he can make on this game because, like I said earlier, I think a lot of what Valence Squad has planned here has to do with Fails. If Fails isn't able to get the team through this early and mid game, then late game Hebo is just going to be there a little bit too late. It's really important that Fails is able to control this game, and we always talk about keep the pace of the game with the jungler. It's Fails' job to maintain the pace of the game. Not necessarily start it off really fast, but make sure it doesn't get away from anybody.
Well, so far, so good. It seems as though it's really only been Valence trading out Big Man Tings for anything, and Big Man's actually still slightly ahead of Trickstink and Farm despite his 2 early deaths, and as a Gav, that's a pretty ideal place to be, especially if you're still on par with the enemy support and Farm, because that just means that you're still going to be able to do your job very effectively.
Yeah, that first blood, probably not what I want, but the exchange that we saw a little bit later, that's pretty much exactly, you know, kind of what you want to do. Trade yourself out for a death on the jungler. Sure. I'm sure most support players out there will be absolutely fine with that.
Just doing absolutely nothing, pretty much. Just a fun little knockout from Baller, just exploring his opportunities. And Big Man actually maybe looking for the big 3-man Cataclysm, but everybody dispersing from Dignitas means that he's just going to fall back to his own jungle.
They thought about it, but wasn't enough help from his team. His team already had started rotating towards those back-end Harpies, so not going to be the case here. Early on, though, 10 minutes in, our Fire Giant just spawning right about now, and Team Dignitas up by almost 1,000 straight gold. Variety, big control here over in the solo lane. Funball had control over the left side. He recently relinquished it, about even now. Building into the Bancroft talent. Maybe a Book of the Dead.
Could potentially be Book of the Dead, especially in Europe. We've been seeing a lot of mage gods, such as the Chronos, picking up that Book of the Dead. It provides a lot of sustain for a mage carry, so that wouldn't be too surprising. But I do feel as though the Bancroft's talent is a very common and great pickup for the Hubwa as well.
And it has little to do with the passive and the fact that it brings lifesteal, and more so just it's very cheap, inexpensive power. That's really what Funball's looking for here. In the second slot, just wants a bunch of power and then build some penetration quickly after that.
Wouldn't be surprised to see him maybe opting for a Spear of Desolation in that third item slot. And really, you said it best. Whenever it comes to Hubwa, it's all about stacking that power as quickly as possible and as cheaply as possible. Yeah.
I mean, he's able to amplify power by way of the passive as long as he's going to stay active. And Funball here, he's been playing the Hubwa for a long time. Kind of knows what he's doing. So definitely, I want to see what happens in this mid game, because that's really what Team Dignitas need to push. When it comes to their mid game is fantastic. Almost all of their characters excel in the mid game, and that's when Hubwa is going to be sort of vulnerable. He's got 2.5 items online, right? He finishes his Bancroft and starts to build into a shard or something. That's when you want to take advantage. Go for the looks around the objectives, bait the Hubwa into sort of putting himself out there, and then just annihilate him before he can annihilate you.
I mean, for Funballer, it's not even like he's foreign to playing these magical ADC carries either. Yeah. I remember when he first brought out the Poseidon ADC, and although it's been quite some time since we've seen that one make a comeback, either way, Hubwa is still almost the same premise behind it.
Yeah, and that's sort of what I was talking about earlier, was you have these characters that emulate hunters, and most notably Sol, Freya, Chronos. Pretty much that's it. But these other mages, this is not a mage cosplaying as a hunter, right? This is just, well, nobody comes to this lane, so we'll put something there that needs a bunch of farm. And it's out of the expected god pool for a professional hunter. But Funball, no stranger to it, like you were saying, and I think that's really important and what allows this team to go this strategy, because I think this is a really big part of the current meta is, listen, if nobody's coming to this duo lane, exploit that.
And that's exactly what Valence are looking to do. Speaking of which, Lobster getting a little aggressive there against Trixtank, taking some pretty aggressive pathing, but recognizing that there's nobody else from Dignitas around him, he can afford to do so.
Yeah, he's going to back off just a little bit. Big man Tings is here to help out, because the Dignitas boys might not have been there at the moment, but you know they're going to respond very quickly. And quickly they do. 3 people in the mid lane. Fails now shading over the left-hand side. Just going to farm up a little bit with his Hunter. Funball.
And Funballer actually did opt for that Book of the Dead as opposed to the Bancroft's talent. So he's really just trying to prioritize heavy power items and all of that sustain to keep in mind as well. Speaking of which, Ducky actually in a lot of trouble underneath his own T1 tower, forced to back up out of it as Trixtank's looking to go and commit. And Ducky already expended the Thorns, trying to get away from Variety. Neath Ultimate is going to come through, but not in time. Big man still able.
Enough?
No, it's not. The tower shot actually went straight to Trixtank.
Not able to take down Variety. I really thought the tower was going to take care of him. But instead, Trixtank able to snatch back the aggro. Ducky goes down to the 2-man dive, and Variety walks away to see another day. Nice play coming out from Team Dignitas. Lobster needed that ult just a little bit sooner.
Ducky did everything he could to try and buy himself enough time to get away. Unfortunately, it looked as though Lobster put a little bit of charge behind that Neath ultimate, which is the reason why it took just half a second too long to get there.
I don't know if Dignitas saw Fails in the left side or not, but if they identify that the jungler is all the way in the left lane, that is absolutely why they go ahead and they dive Ducky. They know that there's not going to be any help from the jungler at the very least. They can anticipate Lobster's ultimate, but even that came, like I said, a little bit too late. So Variety and friends are able just to dive Ducky, and there's really not much you can do about it. He did everything. He hit his thorns. He just could not get away.
And that's one of the fates of being in that solo lane. You're kind of one of the only lanes that's still left open to aggression. Speaking of which, Variety trying to get that invade going. Fails, actually taking a huge chunk of his health bar for that one, but still successfully defended Ducky's blue buff.
Smart play there coming out from Fails. Variety makes himself out to be a target. After a ring bounce and a couple of shots, the ultimate would actually be kind of relevant, especially with Ducky waiting on the back end afterwards. But Fails made sure to prioritize the farm, the blue buff, over looking for the kill, which I don't think is really happening. So I like the decision making from Fails to let a solo laner sort of zone while he himself looks just for the farm and the kill on the buff.
And that's kind of been this entire game for Valence. They haven't really been looking for too much aggression. If anything, they've been trying to counteract it, but really, they're just trying to get as much farm as possible to get their carries online ASAP. That's what this is all about. They're playing the long game here, like we've gone over a couple of times already, and especially clear when you have a Geb.
Yeah, I mean, the Geb definitely just looking to protect. I'm all eyes on Hebo for me. Funball in this late, as the game gets later and later, really needs to be the player that everybody starts looking at. He needs to find those knockups, the ultimates, obviously. He's just going to bring a lot of damage. He needs some safety, and that's why you see a big man Tings on the reactive side, able to go ahead and peel for him with knockups and provide the shields. And then on the proactive side, you have Lobster, able to really stud out characters that are looking to take care of Funball, or even set up characters that are looking that Funball or Phelas want to really take advantage of. I'm
still a little bit concerned, though, for Funballer on this Habwa because, like I mentioned, it is a little bit of a counter matchup having to try and deal with Arkil on the Jingwei, just knowing that he's probably going to receive constant harassment from Arkil because Arkil is going to be the member that you want to try and take down this Habwa. He's probably got the easiest counteracting kit to do so, and if anything, Funballer's got to be careful about the crit that Arkil's trying to rush online. It's evident that Funballer's about to build into that Hide of the Urchin we've been seeing a lot of lately, but I'm not sure how that's going to fare against the Jingwei with an Executioner and crit.
Yeah, we'll see. He's level 16. In comparison to the other guys, maybe it's good enough. I won't talk too much about the Urchin today. I've spoken a lot about the Urchin. It's a win more item, not an item you want to build while you're even or behind. Right now, Valence Squadron is even or behind, but he himself, not necessarily. You know, I think the Jingwei pick is blessing and a curse. Team Dignitas is going to filter into Valence Squadron's jungle, looking for the enemy speed buff. Ring bounce, there's a jump forward, and Trickstank going to watch as Variety takes care of two. Dashing away with the ultimate's going to be a fails. Barely hanging on for dear life is the young jungler. Able to pick up his speed buff, but almost gets taken out for it. Funball escaping the tower dive. Still has ultimate available, so can turn around here. Chase out the Aegis. Nice play. Coming out from Funball, just goading people in with his stance. Hero Fred going to get helped out by the middle lane. Beads are already good. Ultimate used defensively. And Funball escapes the 1-on-2.
It's still a win for Team Dignitas, being able to force out not just one, but two ultimates from Valence. And that's like a huge setup combination as well between Lobster's ultimate and Funballer's. And with that in tow, they're going to immediately look straight for this Gold Fury. Absolutely no contest from Valence. And that's a free gold for Dignitas.
Yeah, nothing Valence can do with their respective cooldowns down for the count. Lobster and Funball are really the guys that you want to see take care of that, but they just can't. Lobster getting pushed around here into the wall. A little bit of presence coming out from BMT, going to protect his mid lane Neath. Now it's Trick Tank that's getting jumped on, but he'll be able to jump away no problem. And Team Dignitas, with that Gold Fury, able to push their lead up to a smooth 4,000 gold.
And Variety already proving himself to be a pretty massive threat on the map, even though his farm is only slightly ahead of Ducky's. It just seems as though these Fearlesses are completely destroying everybody's health bar.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much. When you pick a tier, you're picking him because he's able to control the scenario, but he also brings his own damage as well. So you're crowd controlling players and bringing their health down to a respectable level to kill. That is one of the reasons, one of the many reasons, I'm sure, that Variety loves his tier. One of the original characters that Variety started to make a splash on.
One thing I'd really like to see, though, from Valence, as soon as, well, actually, Lobster just finished off his Urchin. I'd actually like to see them start grouping to look for the team fight scenarios, because if they're able to find even one pick consistently multiple times, that's going to not only provide them with the stacks that they definitely need to make this Urchin pickup viable, but also just to put themselves back on par with Dignitas.
Yeah, certainly something they have to think about, being down this much gold. I mean, they can't just sit there and wait like their original plan might have been Ducky trying to look at 2 players with the minion walking in here. It's good to see a quick retreat coming out from the solo lane, and he'll go ahead and lose his tier 1 tower.
Tier 1 tower just not healthy enough, and Ducky making the smart decision there, recognizing that there was no way he's going to be able to defend either Trick Tank or Variety from just sieging it.
Yeah, it's just got to walk away. Nothing the Kukulkan can do there 1 versus 2, especially level 17 when he's got a 17 there just alone in the tier player. Still problematic. Speed buff one more time being at least looked at by Team Dignitas, forced off of it. Will be Valiant Squad themselves. Ring bounce being down might invite Team Dignitas to go for it, but instead Ducky plays a good job and zones out Tricks while his team actually takes care of business on the front end. Now Variety trying to run away and fails off the mark with the stun, just a hair out of range.
And it's just going to be Big Man Tings eating that slice and dice, but Arkiel, meanwhile, in dual lane, more than happy to play Farm Simulator, just all that free farm for himself, while Valence are just grouped up, kind of just securing their own buffs. Really not a whole lot of openings for them to work into Dignitas' backline.
Able to take out another tier 1 tower very slowly, very carefully, very quietly. Team Dignitas starting to really take this one and push it into the next game's direction. Like we said, already about a 6,000 gold here, up from 4,000, which is what we saw right after the Gold Fury. Variety turning things around, despite fails showing up. There's still plenty of members of Team Dignitas here, 4 in total, ready to go ahead and fight, and Zeros making the rotation. We'll make 5.
But even with the Mystical Mill, Ducky is still heavily losing that trade out. Speaking of which, it's going to be Dignitas securing the Portal Demon, but everything else is breaking out on the backside. Fails actually finding the ultimate onto Kivo Fred, but it doesn't matter. Arkiel's still able to take down Ducky. Meanwhile, Arkiel gets another one onto Fails.
Big Man Tings barely alive, chased out of the back end. Arkiel in trouble thanks to the Habwa, but Habwa could be equally in trouble as well as Trix Tank starts to trade back. Jumping forward, finds a stun. Nice stun on the right side from Lobster, but can't control them all. Arkiel takes down the Habwa. 6 kills in total. Team Dignitas pick up 3 in that team fight, and it's 6-1 Team Dignitas.
No response either as far as kill secures were concerned, and Dignitas actually immediately looking for this Fire Giant. Variety just doing his best to zone out 2 members, the 2 remaining members from Valence in the mid lane. Lobster and Big Man Tings have absolutely no idea this is going on until just then watching that Fire Giant buff pop up around Kiva, Fred, and Variety.
Yeah, I mean, even if they know what's going on there, Taco, I'm always the one that I want to see you throw your life away, at least go give it a shot. I don't know about that one. I don't know if Big Man Tings can even get in there. I'm just not. I don't know. That one, just a great play by Team Dignitas. Quick move to the objective as soon as the team fight's over. That's what you got to do. Absolutely
no way for Lobster to even think about heading into that Fire Giant pit. And even if he did, I'd have to agree with you. There's really no way a Root can try and contest against a Soul, I would say, as far as Secure is concerned. Although it'd be a good attempt, it's just, I'm certain that they would have immediately turned up the Lobster and Big Man Tings and just killed them instantly. Perfect timing for Team Dignitas. Couldn't have planned it better. As soon as they get the Fire Giant and back, they're able to go ahead and look at the Gold Fury in the very next breath. So Team Dignitas up 10-7. That is a death sentence for Valiant Squadron. We were talking earlier, Taco, about how this team wanted to get to the late game with the SIBO, but is it too little too late? It might be. What seemed like a relatively even game has just suddenly spiraled entirely out of control. I mean, 10,000 experience lead is massive. It's almost impossible to come back from that, even with a late game oriented draft, because how do you make it to the late game? Variety just absolutely doing whatever the hell he wants. Yeah, I mean, what are you supposed to do here? Wait, like just watching these players go ahead and take care of things. The tier 1s on the left and the right side were taken out almost haphazardly, but Team Dignitas might have gotten a little over aggressive. Nice recognition by Big Man Tings. Gonna grab 2 people with the ultimate. Arkiel gets hit by Lobster as well, but he's just gonna get out of there. Beautiful use of the agility. Right on in goes Variety. Fearless into the power cleave, rooted by Lobster, protecting his team. We've got 4 players left here, and Team Dignitas gonna look for the retreat. No big deal. And of course, it's going to be Funballer actually looking to just get off whatever damage he can. Dignitas, though, they're already paying mine to the Habwa. He's having to be forced underneath his Phoenix yet again, and that was just so much expended to try and take out Archeol, and completely unsuccessful. Just leaves Valence Squadron completely susceptible to Dignitas' sieging, and now Variety once more trying to tackle underneath that Phoenix. It's Ducky who's going to be falling low first of all.
And that's going to be the left Phoenix here. Archeol picking up a Lobster, easy peasy. Fun ball with a nice ultimate, but Cubo Fred just doesn't care. The rest of Valence Squad going to be pushed out. Ducky's here, pushed against the wall. Excuse me, that's Fails. He went so deep, I thought he was a solo laner. He's going to be put down the hard way. Archeol with another kill. 5-0-1. Trickstank picks up a big man Tings. The writing's on the wall here, Taco. Team Dignitas going to pick up the mid Phoenix, but I think this is their game.
This is looking like another Dignitas victory. Don't have to really think twice about it. It's just Valence. It's understandable. They're Fire Giant. They still have a T2 tower remaining.
I didn't realize the tier 2 tower was alive. I thought they were just going to go for all of the birds, but got to take care of the tower. And instead, the team not even looking there. Trickstank is like, hey guys, I thought we were taking care of this tower.
Got to always pick up that speed buff first and foremost, before anything else. You've always got to go for the speed buff if it's up. And now Dignitas, with that Fire Giant wearing off in a little bit, just going to take what they've taken and back to base with it.
Yeah, a lot of gold in hand. Going to be able to sort of finish up these builds and come back and siege one more time. Rada Tahuti for zeros, probably the bigger pickup here. Certainly something that he wants to go ahead and make use of for sure. And again, man, the Urchin. This is an item you want to buy when you're ahead. Watching Funball hit the jungler with an ultimate and barely affect him, you're a Habwa. If this Urchin is a Tahuti, we're in a different world.
Same could be said for a couple of different Valence members across the board, but I feel as though Urchin is kind of just one of those deceivingly good items and appealing items. Deceivingly appealing,
sure.
I should say, for a lot of these teams where the game is even. There hasn't been a whole lot of team fight occurring yet, so they think if we build the Urchin now, once we start grouping up and team fighting, we'll get the stacks online and make those procs worthwhile. But it just never really came to fruition for Valence, unfortunately, and when they did start fighting, it wasn't in their direction. It was all for Dignitas, so you've got Trickstank sitting pretty happily now at 7 stacks in that Urchin, but this damage from Dignitas, Archeol, just making that 250 health completely irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, he's able to, oof. What is he critting for on a single basic, Taco?
It's probably disgustingly high right now. Now, he's got triple crit, and he's about to have another Fire Giant. I mean, against the objective, he's hitting for 400s. I wouldn't be surprised to see him start critting for around 800 a piece on autos. Yeah,
so, I mean, you get a little bit of help, but not enough to make it worth it. But we'll see what happens. Right side Phoenix, obviously going to be the target since it's the last one here. Team Dignitas grouped up as 5, getting ready. Ducky trying to play D.
And Ducky might not be able to stand by that Phoenix for much longer, taking a huge chunk of health already from zeros.
And still continuing, ultimate at a big man Tings. Now he's going to get ulted by the Nemesis. Trouble on the front end, fails trying to escape. The Aegis is strong for the moment. One more shot will bring him down, but Variety instead turns and looks at the Geb. Meanwhile, Archeol continuing his reign of terror. 6 kills in total, 10 for the team. Ducky trying to get back to the fountain. With all the birds down, the Titans next here. And just waiting for the minions to filter on in there. And the rest, well, is history. Team Dignitas trying to get some kills. Now finally on the objective. That's that. Game 1 going the way of Team Dignitas. Valence Squad down 1.
Seemed as though Dignitas were a little bit split there.